Welcome to another great episode of Be Kind Connects. I'm your host, Shabnam Islam. And on today's show, we have the innovative genius, Danny O Malley. President and founder of Before the Butcher, Danny has been leading the way as a plant-based food industry expert, and he has a deep understanding of expanding the veg economy. Danny, it's awesome to have you on the show.
Thanks, Shabnam. I appreciate it. In fact, I think I need to take you everywhere I go just to introduce me, because that was a fantastic introduction.
Well, I mean, this is what I do, so, you know.
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, well, you do it well.
So let's get into. Thank you. But let's talk a little bit about you. Who was Danny O Malley before the Butcher?
That is a really good question. It's somebody that has been trying to figure out for years exactly who he was. I mean, I spent many years in the food industry and the entertainment industry, and just couldn't find my place in the world, if you know what I mean. And about 8 years ago now, I joined a company that gave me some deep insight to the person I am today. And that was Beyond Meat. I started working for them about 8 years ago now. And it really opened up windows to my world and allowed me to see more of who I am as a person and who I wanted to be. And fortunately with that, it grew into me creating a company that was really an extension of my left arm and my right arm, which is Before the Butcher. And I'm very fortunate to do something I love and passionate about, and it's all wrapped around plant-based and vegan, and the concern with our planet Earth and the health of our Earth and animals and so on and so forth. So it's so enveloping and so gratifying to do something that you spent your life looking for. Because I know there's people that, go from birth to death and never really figure out where they belong on this planet. And I feel like I've figured it out, and I love it. Every day I love what I do.
So how long ago did you start your vegan journey? Was it working with Beyond Meat that actually inspired this change for you?
Well, interesting enough, I would step back 20 years to talk about my journey toward a healthier lifestyle and how that evolved into being vegan, probably about 6 years ago while I was at Beyond Meat. I wasn't vegan when I started working there, though I was what we would call pescatarian, because I wasn't eating meat or poultry. I was eating seafood, which was the hardest thing for me to give up at the end because I loved it. But it's not hard to look back and understand why I did it and why I never turned back since that day. It really has been an interesting journey for me. It was my friend who pushed me to go 100% plant-based about 6 years ago, and we were working out together, and he's a little heavy set. And we said, hey, look, we're going to start a program, 6 weeks of working out every day and eating healthier. And he said to me, hey, look, why don't you go vegan? And I looked at him and said, wait a minute, I'm kind of doing this for you and you're telling me to go vegan? I said, well, but you challenged me, so I got to do it. So what I did, Shabnam, is I did something, now I reflect back on it, it was actually pretty smart. In my adult life, I always had borderline high cholesterol. It's kind of run in my family. I, certainly thought it was hereditary. And so I went into my doctor, got my cholesterol checked. It was borderline high. My doctor said, hey, look, you should think about going on, statins and drugs and stuff like that. And I said, I don't get it. I don't, why? I eat healthy. I'm doing all the right things. So I think, and for 6 weeks, I went 100% plant-based. I was working out at least 5 days a week, and really taking care of myself. And I went back in and got checked afterwards, and my cholesterol dropped 70 points, which is massive. So I was down to a very healthy cholesterol level, and I've never turned back from that. I mean, it was really a testament to myself that a couple of things. One is, obviously, I wasn't eating as healthy as I thought it was, right? And two is, by the way, I told you my favorite thing and the last thing I gave up, which was animal-based, was seafood. And as you know, shellfish, very high in cholesterol. And I loved
Absolutely.
shellfish at the time. But it was twofold. One was, hey, I learned I wasn't eating as healthy as I thought, or taking care of myself as I should be. And two, I thought that high cholesterol was hereditary and ran in my family. And I didn't think there was much I could do about it. And I learned very quickly I could. And once I learned that was, as we call in the business, a game changer, right? And here I am today, 6 years later, not even thinking about it anymore. This is just my lifestyle. And I think that's important. What's really important here, and I know you talk about the same thing, is not that this is a diet. This isn't a diet to me. This is my lifestyle. This is what I practice and I preach every day. Well, I don't like to say preach because that just sounds like a lot.
It sounds so vegan.
It does. It does. Actually, that's why around most of the people I talk to, I talk about this right here, plant-based.
Plant-based.
Right? Because it's a kinder, gentler way to talk to people about what we're passionate about. Right?
Absolutely.
And some people put, right away you say vegan and they go like this and, and it's harder to open doors that way. And I don't have an issue with vegan. I think, obviously vegans are important to me because I'm one of them, but being able to talk to people that aren't vegan about what we do, why we do it, and why it's important is much easier to talk about, being plant-based and the plant-based options available rather than the vegan or, options out there and what comes with that. So it's a little more radical for people. It's just that perception that's been out there for so many years. And now it's softened with plant-based. We're doing the same thing, but in a different way. And that's what's exciting about it.
And you say radical to people, and I kind of want to go back to what you said, that because you thought your high cholesterol was hereditary, and in research, we know that there's evidence that hypercholesterolemia can be hereditary. So how did that impact your family when you told them that you started to go on this plant-based diet? Did that have any influence?
Oh, yeah. I mean, what a fantastic segue right there, Shabnam. I'll tell you why, because I was thinking about this earlier today. And I'm not sure why. It just came to my head. I grew up in the Midwest. I have 6 brothers and sisters, and we were a true Midwestern family. Meat and potatoes every day on the plate. We have a little veggies, but it was meat and potatoes. That's the way we ate. That's what I knew. That's how I did it, right? And that's the way all my brothers and sisters as well. And I remember shortly after I went 100% plant-based, maybe a year or so after. This is probably a good 5 years ago. My oldest brother, Big Bill, Bill's about 6'4", 240, 250, right? Big guy. And he was the bully when I was a kid, right? I'm the youngest boy, so that my 4 older brothers always picked on me until I got fast enough to run away from them. And then I wrestled in high school, so I was able either to take them down quick and move away fast, or but Bill is the epitome of a meat eater. He's going to sit down, he's going to have a beer in one hand, and he's going to have a steak on the plate, and there's going to be a big baked potato and maybe a couple of string beans there, which he may or may not try, right? I mean, this is the image of my brother. This is my older brother. Everybody knows. About a year after I started, he pulled me aside. We're at a family event. I think it was a wedding or something like that. And he goes, Dan, I need to talk to you. And I said, okay. He says, but you can't tell any of our brothers and sisters. I said, okay. And I'm like, he's being very serious. But he says, I'm eating vegetarian now. I said, what? Are you kidding me? He said, look, he was probably 60-ish at the time. And he said to me, he says, look, I'm not as healthy as I should be. I get up and I walk because that's the most I can do now, because he's had some physical injuries around, sports and things like that over the years, and just doesn't move as well as he used to. And he said, going to the doctor, and the doctor says, "Hey, Bill, you got to eat better. You got to eat better." And his wife, a little heavy set too, absolute sweetheart, Karen, was eating much better than him, but not maybe, pushing it on to him. And so they decided, hey, we're going to eat better, and we're going to start eating more plant-based. So they fall into what we call today the flexitarian category. Well, they'll eat from time to time. In fact, I don't think he eats meat at all anymore. He'll eat, fish or, sometimes dairy products and things like that, but mostly plant-based today. And huge. I don't know that I was the main person to help push in that direction. Certainly his own health was really important to him. But I think it's really important for us all to talk about as we get older, and even when we're not older, how important it is for our own personal health, but even bigger than that. And I talk about this practically every single day, the health of our planet, because if our planet isn't healthy, we can't be healthy. We can't be. And we live in a society that is now starting to have an acute awareness of that, especially younger generations. And I'm really excited about that. That's really great for us and our children and our children's children, because look, as long as I'm on this earth and you're on this earth, there'll be an earth for us to be on, right? Because we don't have that many years left. But our children and our children's children, 100 years, 150, 200 years from now, I'm really worried about that. And we all should be. That's our planet's health. And that affects our health.
That's absolutely true. And so, it's so nice to see why you think plant-based innovation is so important that you would actually create a career around it. So let's talk about your career. Let's talk about Before the Butcher and what actually sets Before the Butcher apart from its competitors.
Well, there's a couple of things. When I started the company, I worked for the leader and innovator in the industry, which is Beyond Meat. I'm not sure I put them in that category anymore. They certainly are, one of the largest out there. But there's other incredible innovators today, and we're seeing a lot more startups come forward with ideas and products that are really, really cool. My thought process back almost 5 years ago now. So I'm certainly, and my company is one of the earlier adopters in plant-based. When we, placed our product or our burger on the market several years ago, we were the third one behind Beyond and Impossible to actually go into grocery stores with this type of, plant-based burger that mimics animal-based protein or beef burger. Really, my thought process at the beginning was, and one of the reasons I left Beyond to start Before the Butcher was I thought there really needed to be greater variety. The variety was so limited back then. It really was a burger. They had some chicken strips back then, which they've discontinued since then because they weren't that great, and some crumbles. Nothing spectacular other than when the burger came out, and it really was a revolution and an evolution into something that we see today. So variety was really important. I started with 8 products. We had a pulled pork, beef tips, chicken chunks, chorizo, beef crumbles, and sausage crumbles, and a bunch of stuff like that, which was really, now it's kind of commonplace, but back then nobody had that type of product out there. So it was really cool to release products that were different on the market, and we really did well. Also, the nutritional value. When we got to the point where we were developing our burger, and back then that was innovative, not so innovative today because everybody seems to know how to do it and everybody's making it. The market for burgers is really saturated today, but back then when we were doing it, we were fortunate. My R&D team and the scientists that I was working with reverse engineered what he knew from what was on the market. And we were able to figure it out. We were fortunate to get it all together. And what was really important to me, and it goes back to what we're talking about, the healthy aspects. The big concern back then continues to be today is how healthy are these products? We all know that they're processed. You can't make a product that mimics animal protein without processing it if it's made from anything but animal protein, right? The other thing that people are missing here is almost any animal protein product that you eat today is already processed.
Yeah,
a beef burger is processed. Everybody thinks it's all, it's all that. It's also processed.
Absolutely.
Ours is processed a little differently. But what was really important to me was the nutritional value of these products and how clean we could make them and what we could do really to create a product that was acceptable for the general public to eat. And by general public, I really mean meat eaters, not just vegans and vegetarians, because that's the key behind these type of products. We want vegans and vegetarians to eat our products because they are vegan, but we also want meat eaters to enjoy them. So I looked at it and say, hey, what's the biggest concern on this list of ingredients that I see from our competitors out there that we're trying to create a product that's similar to what they've done? And the one that stood out in a big way to me was sodium. Both of them out on the market at that time, Impossible and Beyond, had almost 500 milligrams of sodium in a 4-ounce burger. Okay, so
wow.
You're already talking. I mean, eat one burger, you've already that's more sodium than you should have for your entire day. Though the average, American consumer or U.S. consumer is probably 12 to 1,400 milligrams. Our bodies really don't need that much, and we eat as a whole about 90% more sodium than we need in our diet every single day. So it's a big concern, and it should be because it leads to so many health problems. So immediately I went to my team, said, hey, we need to reduce the sodium in our products. Our burger came out at 260 milligrams of sodium in 4 ounces compared to our competitors at that time were 470 and 480, almost half. And we had a fantastic burger. And I'm really proud to this day because there's nobody on the market today that has anywhere near the low level of sodium that I'm aware of for a burger on the market. And I continue to preach this. It's important that we're aware of that. Sodium is flavor, as we know. But Shabnam, if you want sodium on your burger, I want you to put it on, not me.
Right.
I want you to have that option. Right. I want you to say, hey, look. I love the texture, the bite, the chew, the flavor is good, but I need a little more salt on it. You do that yourself, right? That's a choice you make, not a choice that I made in the burger that I made for you, right?
Because providing a high quality, healthy meal is what is important to before the butcher, and also giving the consumer the power to manipulate the product to their taste is also a beautiful thing, and not taking all that credit and need for it on your own plate is really good stand apart from the competitor. So thanks for that. So let's talk about your products. How many of them do you actually have on the market now?
Well, we're in both the retail and food service markets. So we have some products that are in the retail market that aren't in food service and some that are in food service that aren't in retail. But I think overall we've got 16, 17 products on the market. We have 9, 10 items for retail. Actually, well, some of them double up. Some of the products that we have in retail are also in food service. So we have another.
So tell us about which ones we can buy in retail.
So in retail today, you can buy, and this is the other thing that, from the beginning, I said variety is really important to me. So when we released our burger, we didn't release just our burger. We released a family of burgers or patties. And so we have our plant-based beef-like burger, and then we have a chicken burger, a savory chicken burger. It's got just a little bit of spice to it. It's really awesome, my favorite. And then we have a turkey burger, and we have our award-winning breakfast sausage patty, which fits perfectly on an English muffin, so you can make yourself a nice English muffin sandwich. I love it. It is fantastic. And we won the 2019 FABI Award, Food and Beverage Innovation Award from the Restaurant Association, National Restaurant Association, for that product. So it's a fantastic product. And then we have 5 grounds. So we have our standard beef-like ground, and then we also have a taco ground, we have a breakfast ground, we have a Italian ground, and a chorizo ground. All incredible, and we won the FABI Award for our taco ground.
That's amazing.
And then the last thing, and this is actually one of the things that I'm most proud about in the evolution of Before the Butcher over the past few years, is from the beginning, one of our missions was to create products that are price comparable to animal-based proteins, which, as you know, and most people know, are not so easy for us to do because it is a bit challenging to make some of these products. So they're not inexpensive to make, even though people say, "Oh, you're making it from vegetables. How expensive can it be?" Well, it can be expensive.
Processing is expensive. Science is expensive. Yeah. Dietetic science is expensive.
Exactly. So we introduced an alternate brand called Mainstream. And that is our affordable brand. We have one product on the market, our burger, the Mainstream burger. And it is, I believe, overall still the most competitively priced product on the market. If you go into a grocery store, just buy it online. And you can go to our website, btbfoods.com, to buy it if you like. And we'll ship it straight out to you, which people want to do now. They don't even want to go to the grocery store anymore, do they?
That's right.
They'd rather just sit at home and order it and have it sent. We will do that for you. $10.99 for 8-pack. So it's a $1.33 per burger. If you go into the grocery store and you buy, some of the major brands out there, they're 2 burgers for $5.99.
Absolutely.
So significant difference in price, and it is a really, really great burger. And I worked hard at being able to release that at a very competitive price, looking for that price parity with animal-based protein or beef burgers. And I think we've done a really good job to create an amazing burger for a very competitive price, because what I've wanted to do all along, and we're still working toward that. And I know our competitors are too, because it's important for us as an industry as a whole to be, to have competitive pricing with, animal-based proteins out there. I want somebody to go to the shelf and look at, a bag of beef burgers and a bag of plant-based burgers and say, hey, I'm not worried about the price because they're right around the same price. I can make a choice for myself based on what I really want to eat and what's good for me, rather than worrying about price.
I actually shared a post yesterday on Instagram. I went to the grocery store, and right beside the $9.99 turkey patties, beef patties, was the $4.99 Impossible. Sorry to talk about that, but it was nice to see that and share that with the community, that it really isn't that expensive, and you just have to be looking in the right places. And it particularly in retail, in these grocery stores, there are always sales, always deals, and you just have to try different products because you never know what's really going to speak out to you. So Before the Butcher is definitely one you should all try right now. But a little birdie told me that you kind of have this new product that came out with Whole Foods 365 Market, huh? Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I'm excited about this. We have a partnership with Whole Foods, and they have now in their market, or it is landing on the shelves right now. They call it a chicken bite. So it's like a chicken chunk or a chicken strip, but it's really natural looking. And I'll tell you what's really cool. It is the 365 brand, and you should be able to find it in your Whole Foods in the refrigerated area, where they'll have vegan and vegetarian options. Though it might be in the freezer, it's supposed to be in the refrigerated area. What's really cool about this product is you make yourself a beautiful salad and then throw this chicken on top of it. And I swear, you're going to try it and you're going to go, really? This isn't real chicken? I'm telling you, it is that good. It is crazy good. I mean, you can cook it up and do whatever you want with it as well. It's already a cooked product. So you could literally take it out of the container and just dump it on top. And the bite, the chew, the texture, the flavor is incredible. It is really great.
And on top of that, we reduce the 9 billion hens that are killed each year just for consumption. And you take away the cholesterol intake, the hemi iron, and you still keep all the flavor, and you do a lot more for your health and the planet. So you guys, if you haven't tried it yet, it is impeccable. I've eaten an entire vegan chicken, like a mayo chicken based chicken salad. I ate the whole thing in one setting. It was fantastic. So thank you. Thank you for that. But what I really want to ask you is, where do you see Before the Butcher? What in terms of growth potential over the next 5 years? Where are you now, and where do you want to be?
Well, we as most companies had to do, we had to kind of rebuild ourselves after the COVID shutdown. We were probably 80% food service at the time and about 20% retail. And so we took a pretty heavy hit. Fortunately, I have a great team that supported us through it, and our investors weren't in it for the short time. They're in it for the long term with us. So last year was a rebuilding year. This year we're seeing incredible strides, and I expect 100% growth, 100% growth this year. That's what our projections are, and we're already on track for that. What we're doing, what is really interesting, if you watch the market at all, you probably know that plant-based meat was flat last year. I mean, there was no growth in plant-based meat last year, although the plant-based industry grew tremendously. Plant-based meat just kind of panned out. I don't think anybody should read into that. I think people should realize that there's an adjustment period. That's what's happening right now. But what's happening even more interesting, and we dove into this headstrong as we struggled through 2020 and early 2021, is there are a tremendous amount of companies out there now making plant-based food products. Right. Mm-hmm. And for those products, they're looking for plant-based meats, and mm-hmm. they're not going to go out and make it, just like they wouldn't go have a cattle farm or a chicken coop or something like that and with their own chicken. So they source from companies like mine. And so we're doing a lot of that. We're providing our crumbles, our grounds, our chicken chunks and beef tips and so on and so forth for companies that are making burritos and pizzas and empanadas and bowls and all that kind. And to me, that's the most exciting thing that's happening in the plant-based world today, is the expansion of plant-based foods, even into the snack area. But I focus mostly on the refrigerator to freezer areas. So in the freezer department today, it's really cool in a lot of even just regular conventional stores. I'm not going to talk just about Whole Foods or Sprouts or any other natural foods market. You can go in a conventional grocery store and, find a plant-based pizza right next to a regular animal-based pizza. And you can find almost every category, bowls, burritos, I don't know, almost anything you'd buy in the freezer department because you want something easy to prepare. You can find plant-based today, and it's really cool. It's a lot of fun.
That's amazing. And the thing that I actually really love about Before the Butcher is that you're a US-based company. Your factories are here. And so if you really are here to build the veg economy, you're also here to build the US economy. Right. Why was that so important to you?
Well, we also source as much as we can from the U.S. You can't always get everything you need because a lot of the flavors and spices just aren't grown here in the U.S. And so we have to source it elsewhere. But we do source, and everything we do is non-GMO. It's gluten-free. We're plant-based certified. All those things are really, really important to us. But keeping it as local as possible. I know we ship our products across the country. I mean, you have to do that. I mean, as you're growing, you have to do. I can't just ship to Southern California, right?
Right. And you don't want to just ship to Southern California.
No, of course not. And in fact, we're now shipping out of the country as well. So international expansion is really cool and exciting for us as well. We're cautiously proceeding on that front. But I think it's important that we produce our products here. For a couple of reasons. One is because we're keeping it here in our own economy, and because this is where we're selling the majority of our products, but also because I can watch it. I want to know what's going on.
You like taking part, an active role in your company and being able to experience it. That's powerful, Danny.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
It's a lot of fun too.
And I also love that you talked about creating Before the Butcher for non-vegans versus vegans, because vegans kind of know and have this experience. So in a recent interview I did with Paul Shapiro, co-founder of the Better Meat Co., we were discussing how maybe capitalizing veganism may be the way to instill mass global change. Mm-hmm. What do you think about that?
Paul's a good friend of mine, by the way. I love that guy. He's doing great things.
Super smart. Such a nice guy.
Yeah. In fact, I was up in Sacramento just a couple of months ago visiting his plant, and it's really exciting to see what he's doing. I'm really interested in what he's doing and how he's doing it. A lot of fun to watch. Look, I think that here's my thought. I'm going to give it to you. Okay, here you go. I think we're in what I call a natural evolution. We can push in a certain way without being pushy, right? But we are naturally evolving and will continue to evolve into a more plant-based society as the years go on. And I'll tell you why that's happening. It's because the largest group of interest in what we're doing and how we're doing it is the millennials, right? Mm-hmm. So they're this group that's kind of in between now, because they're no longer, hey, there you are. They're obviously not X-Gen or baby boomers or the great generation or something like that on the oldest end. And then the younger gens, I don't know what they are, Z-Gen and
Gen Z.
I don't know what they are. Doesn't it seem like every few years there's another generation?
Well, that's usually what happens. 8 billion people on the planet.
I thought it used to be like 10 or 15 years, and you'd have, it seems like 3 years, and then you've got some new name for another generation or something like that.
No, you're just not with the times anymore, Danny.
Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah, that's what happens when you start getting older. I mean, look, see that gray hair? There is some knowledge that comes with it. Anyways, so the millennials, your generation, are having babies, right? And what are you teaching those kids? Yeah, well, that's true. And some of you more and more as time goes on. That generation will be teaching their children how to eat plant-based because they're eating that way. Right? Whether they're flexitarians or meat reducers, reducitarians, whatever you want to call, they're 100% plant-based or just plant-based from time to time. It's still part of that generation, ingrained into that generation, and will pass that along to the younger generations. So just like I grew up as a meat and potato eater, because that's what I learned from my parents, and I had to teach myself something differently, they won't have to be taught because that's what they'll know. And that generation will grow up plant-based. It's a natural evolution that we will see continue in a way that there is no way anybody's going to stop this from happening. It's happening already. And we're going to see more and more of that as we move forward. And that's what's really exciting to me.
That is super exciting. And Danny, thank you so much for creating Before the Butchers, because this is going to be a company that starts to instill that shift for non-vegans towards a more plant-based sphere. And that wraps up this episode of Be Kind Connects with the one and only Danny O Malley. To learn more about Danny's Before the Butcher uncut product line of 4 retail and 12 food service meat alternatives that look, cook, and taste like their animal-based counterparts, check out www.btbfoods.com. And don't forget to grab a taste at your nearest Whole Foods. And that shredded chicken is a must try. And to watch this Be Kind episode with Danny, please subscribe to our Be Kind Vibes YouTube channel. And to help you stay connected with us and the greater vegan community, give us a follow on the Be Kind app and download the Be Kind app today.
In a world where cruelty